Hey, Taryn.
Hi.
So we're about to embark. Hey, Sarah.
Hi.
We're about to embark on a trip to the west side. We're leaving right now. Yes. This is me not stopping at the stop sign. So, Karoo, we went to Portland last night and had dinner with Bren. And then we drove up here to Olympia. And we slept in a Walmart parking lot last night over in Lacey. The Tumwater Walmart used to let you sleep there, but we showed up and they had signs saying no overnight parking. So we slept in Lacey. In the middle of the night, we had somebody come bang on our on the side of our van. I'm not sure why, and then they left. They just banged twice and then left, and we never answered. So 1:30 in the morning. And so when we got up this morning, I woke up and drove us down and parked by Capitol Lake. We're gonna go have breakfast with Pablo, but I'm out for a little walk. It's really beautiful. The lake is closed because apparently there's some invasive snail, like really tiny snail in it that destroys the environment, so they don't want the snail to get out of the lake into other waterways. So nobody's allowed to go in or out, and so they've rebuilt the whole waterfront there with this wall, so you can't, it's really difficult to get down in the water.
Nobody ever tells you anything.
Just to be clear, the object you may observe may or may not be. So does that mean that this object over here is a outfall pipe that needs to be anchored? And then we met Pablo Bellin at the Spar for brunch at 10:30 and had a great time with Pablo, just chatting with him. He's having a bit of a rough go, but you know, seems like he's doing well now. He's had a rough go, I should say, and he's doing well now. But it was just awesome to see him. You know, it had been 11 years since we saw him. I think we saw him at the 30th reunion. That was the last time. We headed out and did a couple other things. Went down to Tumwater Falls Park, which I took some video and pictures of, and Sarah and I walked around Tumwater Falls Park. And then we went out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, visited Dave Sorrell. I haven't seen Dave Sorrell in like 21 years or something. So yeah, we ended up going out to his house. He lives on Long Lake in Lacey now with his wife Stephanie. And we ended up spending 3.5 hours with them, just chatting and talking and having a great time. And he's doing great. You know, he's a CIO of revenues for the state. He handles the tax revenues. So, and his wife is a teacher. She said second grade teacher. She teaches small children, maybe kindergarten. And she was awesome. And they've been married 11 years. She had 2 kids from a previous marriage. Dave was divorced. And they, you know, they're just doing really well. And Dave is flying again. I don't know if you remember, he had a pilot's license. And so he's been flying again. He's went in with Bob Carpenter. I don't know if you remember Robert Carpenter, he actually went into the military and actually flies, is an aviator in the military. And so he and Dave bought a plane together, and his wife is working on her pilot's license as well, Dave's wife. Just really cool stuff. We left there at like 6 o'clock. We drove up to Neil and Mary's in Lake Stevens. And Brad and Linda and their kids were all there, and it was Emily's 18th birthday yesterday on Sunday. So we went up there, and you know, they're so awesome too, and we hadn't seen them in like 8 years or something, 6 years I guess, but we hadn't been to their house in God, I don't know how long. So we hung out with them and had a really fun time that evening.
This is Buttercup's true love. If you hit him, he will stop Humperdinck's wedding. Shut up. Shut up. I make him better Humperdinck's office. Humiliations galore.
Then the next morning we got up and I guess we got up and puttered around at their house till noon. And then we went to meet Dirk Padfield, who lived in the basement of our house in State College. So we hadn't seen him since we left State College 17 years ago. And he's married, and his wife Dawn and he have 3 children. He's got a PhD, and he works for Amazon. And so we ended up going over there at 1 o'clock, and we stayed at their place till after 5. So like for 4 hours, and their kids are great. They've got a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old named Cora, Liam, and Leela. And Liam and Leela, the 2 older ones, both play guitar and sing, and they're homeschooled, and you know, they're just really fun. And so we just sat around and chatted with them, and then we went back. Oh, then we went and had dinner with Carew and Beth at an Indian restaurant, and hung out with them and had a really nice time there as well. And I actually took a little video at the Indian restaurant. I didn't take any video, you know, with Pablo or David Sorrell or Dirk and his family, just because, you know, it seems awkward to do that with people who you're not, you know, you haven't seen in a long time. So then we had dinner with Carew and Beth, and just had a nice dinner. You know, it was nothing special. We went to an Indian restaurant, but it was great to get to see them, and they're doing well. And then we went back to Neil and Mary's, and they had been having a big Christmas party type thing at their house, and people were just kind of starting to leave when we got there. Got back at around 8 o'clock, and so we slept in their driveway again last night. But got to hang out with. So their 2 daughters, Sarah and Megan, both have kids now. So Sarah has 2 daughters, Katie and Max. Max is older. And then Megan has an infant named Theta, who's less than a year old now. So we ended up hanging out with them at like 11 o'clock last night. Finally we went to bed. It was just exhausted. And you know, I'm kind of an introvert, so like all this interaction with people wears me down. Today is Monday, the 18th of December. So I'm in the mall parking lot here, someplace in Seattle. Sarah and Taryn are seeing the new Star Wars movie, which I have no interest at all in seeing. So the purpose of our visit is actually, we have a doctor's appointment for Taryn. He has a mole on his cheek, and they want to get it looked at to see if it needs any further attention. And we figured we'd go to the specialist over here. So yeah, we're going to the plan for the rest of the trip is to go to Seattle Children's Hospital at around 4 o'clock. And we're going to meet up with Stefan Dimitrov, because he works there as a nurse, and he's getting off shift at 4:30. And then we're going to hang out with him for a little while and just get a chat. And then Taryn's appointment is at 5:30. So we'll do that. And then we got to figure out how we're going to get home. So it's actually really interesting. We've been debating whether we go over the pass or head south to Portland. And the weather is hit and miss. It's like possibly 3 to 8 inches of snow on the pass maybe tonight, or we could head south. And we were like, and so this morning we were like, we'll head south for sure. Well, then news just came out, and you probably know about this. There was a train derailment southbound I-5 on the north side of this Nisqually data, right when you're coming down in there where the railroad tracks cross the freeway. There was a derailment, and there's railroad cars all over the southbound I-5 there, and it's completely closed. And I was looking at pictures and video of it just a few minutes ago. I don't see any way that's going to be open by the time we want to head south tonight. And even if it is, the traffic is just going to be a nightmare. So maybe we'll just have to brave the pass. I don't know. Anyway, I'll get back to all of that later when we get home, probably tell you what happened. And I'll cut this all together. So, more later. So it's later, and we went to the hospital and hung out with Stefan for an hour. Had the doctor's appointment. It was really good. We have an appointment for March to have the mole taken off his face. And then we ended up driving home. Went over the pass and had dinner in this little town that you may or may not recognize. And made it home by 11 o'clock. It was a successful trip. Had a great time. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Catch you later.